who of you was just seeing the talk of SEO in the age of AI? Okay, nice. I kind of thought that you guys go for the double header. So I hope there's not too much of an overlap, but I will try to focus more on actually assessing SEO and its performance. And I actually want to start off a little bit further out, so you have to bear with me on this one. This is a quote by Tim Berners-Lee, the inventor of the World Wide Web, and he says the system is failing quite dramatically. And he talks about how digital advertising is changing and for him actually ruining the web. And you can see that in a lot of different ways and in a lot of different trends. For example, researchers have found out that actually by now we have some sort of banner blindness, so we don't actually even see image ads anymore online. And we sort of just disregard them, and even if we click them, that's usually accidental. So actually only 3 out of 10,000 people who click on a display ad really want to click on that ad, which is kind of crazy. There's also nice cases from, for example, USA Today that due to GDPR had to launch an ad-free site. And then there's actually users saying how nice it is, how fast the internet could be without all the junk. Those are all very interesting trends to us. For example, people using a lot more ad blockers just because they don't want to face all these annoying ads popping up at all times. There's also trends like ad fraud, where actually by now 20% of your advertising budget is spent, according to this study, on clicks which are just fraud clicks, which are not really done by real users looking for an actual purchase or an actual conversion. So those are a lot of kind of threatening trends. So you have banner blindness, you have increasing e-privacy, you have tracking issues, you have ad fraud, and that actually puts emphasis on marketing channels which are still in this age are capable of prevailing and delivering authentic user value. And we at Project A think that one of those channels is SEO. So now we'll finally come to SEO, and every 2 years SEO is sort of proclaimed dead and then it makes a comeback again. So if you followed the talk previously before, you can see that now SEO is making a comeback because it's AI powered. So there's always these transitions and cycles, but we think in this age with online advertising sort of changing a lot, SEO is really making a comeback. So just real quickly, I think this is very natural to you guys that SEO affects the visibility, the exposure of your website, and you can do technical SEO, you can do creative content production, basically all these things that make sure that search engines understand your website, it's easily crawlable, it's easily rankable, and so on. And a lot of the portfolio companies from Project A do SEO because actually, oh, we have this internet problem again. No, you said to. Thanks. Yeah, but now without all the cool effects, so I guess the message is a bit different. But can we see when the internet comes back? Okay, we'll just hold it. Yeah, let's just try it. Okay, so now you already see what the problem is, but I was actually talking about why companies are still doing SEO. And that's because if done correctly, it can be a very efficient, sustainable, and also cost-effective source of website traffic. And also this website traffic is not people who actually don't want to have anything to do with your product and those that don't click your ad. But actually this website traffic is a little bit further down the purchasing funnel that you guys all know. So there is a clear intention, and with lots of SEO traffic, actually those will become quite valuable leads, quite valuable conversions, and also customers. Now the inherent problem in SEO is, just recapping, online advertising is changing. SEO might be a way to still create value for your users. So of course, naturally, for us as the BI team, this all leads to the fact that, okay, we also have to measure our success. So how do we actually measure if SEO for our portfolio companies is working? And we realized that a lot of the ventures, at least that we work with, they don't really do that. They look at high-level stats, like quality stuff like time spent on site, page depth, maybe zero conversions. but there's actually an inherent flaw, which I want to discuss with you guys further. So basically, let's try it real quick if the internet comes back, because it might will give us. It's definitely pretty good. Okay. Let's go. Okay, let's see how long this lasts. So there's one problem in SEO, and that's that SEO traffic is actually a composition of two completely separate and very different sources of website traffic, and that's non-brand and brand. And what I mean by that is, imagine a company like that sells shoes, let's call them Shoe24. Now if I look on, just completely out of nowhere, if I look at searchers that look for shoe trends in 2018, and I can actually capture them through cool content, or people might Google buy cool shoes online, and I can actually capture them by optimizing my website to grab that kind of clicks. This is all related to the actual work that your SEO team is doing. But what also comes up in your SEO as a channel and in your web tracking is buy shoes24 or just shoe24. So those clicks will actually also go into your SEO channel and completely dilute with the non-brand clicks. So there's actually a very big difference between generic content in shoe trends and buy cool shoes online and everything related to your brand. So we call the upper two sections non-brand traffic and the lower two sections brand traffic. And while this is actually affected by everything that your SEO team, your content team, your website optimization team is doing, this is more affected by, are you doing sponsoring, are you doing radio, are you doing online, how strong is your brand, all that stuff, which is not directly tied to the performance of your SEO team. So we have to split that in order to see how SEO actually works. And unfortunately, splitting that is not that easy. Who knows the not provided issue? Yes, someone heard of it before. It's quite a common thing. Basically, what Google decided in 2011 is they will not give you any information anymore on the keyword through which a searcher came to your website. They will still do that for AdWords clicks, makes a lot of sense for them because you can spend more money in AdWords, but they will not provide you any information anymore on what did the searcher actually search and what did he do when he came to your website. So the whole data which is necessary to assess SEO lives in two completely separate silos. One is the Search Console, so you guys might know it was called Webmaster Tools, now it's called Search Console. They also have Bing and Yandex and Baidu Search Consoles. And there you have very specific information on which keywords led to how many clicks, but you have no information on if they converted or not. So there's no transactional information whatsoever. And then in your web tracking tool like Mixpanel or Google Analytics, you know the SEO traffic that you're getting, you know how many conversions are generated, but you don't know the keyword level anymore. So this was sort of the issue that we ran into whenever we wanted to respond to questions like, okay, which keywords lead to how many conversions, or where do I focus on when creating cool content or optimizing my website further or building up more backlinks. It was actually not possible for us to say it. So yeah, a lot of SEO managers really struggled with evaluating their own performance. So we put together this nice little approach, and I will also show you how we use it in reality. I will go through the approach a bit more quickly. Before that though, I'll tell you the issues that come with the not provided issue. So it's hard to assess your performance. Also when actually the search algorithm, the page rank algorithm changes, or you have penalties or ranking drops, it's not really easy to see in your SEO traffic because there's also brand traffic in it. So if your brand traffic stays healthy, you actually don't see the drop in SEO traffic. yeah, it's all diluted together with this brand performance. So offline channels that you invest in might be undervalued because you're all part of SEO, or to some extent part of SEO. So the CMOs that we're working with really struggle to put a budget on, okay, how much should I actually invest into SEO, because they can't just buy clicks or impressions. And yeah, those were all the problems that we ran into due to these separate data silos. So we are also trying to solve this, and we'll look at all the relevant SEO data sources that there are. So the Search Console, the web tracking, also our backend, and then we combine that information, and then we're actually able to understand SEO performance better. I will walk through you guys through this in 5 steps. But we also wrote a more elaborate blog post on it, Andres, our head of SEO, and me. So make sure to check that out at a later stage if you're interested in the more technical approach. But yeah, we can run through these 5 steps together. So the first thing that we do is, for a company like Shoes24, we would identify which are actually their brand terms. So things that people search that are directly related to their brand and have nothing to do with a more generic search. So it would be, in this case, I guess, just Shoes24. And then in the search consoles that we have access to, we can actually see, we do it here on every landing page, we can actually see, okay, this landing page gets how much traffic from brand keywords and gets how much traffic from non-brand keywords. So for every landing page, we further group it by week, but you can also do a different time dimension. But for every landing page, we know, okay, what's actually the ratio of brand traffic it gets and what's the ratio of non-brand traffic it gets. And that's valuable information for us, because what we also know from our Google Analytics account, for example, is we know for every landing page how many SEO clicks does it get and how many conversions does it generate. We don't know that broken down by brand traffic, by keywords due to the not provided issue, but now we sort of have like a primary key between these 2 data sources, because on every landing page we know, okay, we get this amount of brand and this amount of non-brand traffic, and we also know from the web tracking, okay, we get this we get this amount of conversions and clicks from SEO. And then we bring these things together. So we combine these 2 data sets that we generated, and then we're actually able to calculate how many brand and non-brand conversions do we get for every landing page, for every week. And what you also need to do, it took us a little bit of time to figure that out, you also need to adjust for different user intentions. So this is, fine.
I have a question, because you said then, so the search control gives you the share of brand based non-brand traffic of the respective landing page, but it doesn't give you conversions.
No.
So then Google Analytics gives you the amount of SEO clicks on the respective landing page and the number of SEO conversions, but how do you know the share of brand non-brand? Because you know how much traffic, but conversions, so brand could be converting so much better.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the last step that we account for. We basically realize that if somebody already looks for Shoes24, he's a lot more likely to convert than when he looks for buy cool shoes online. So we look at conversion rates, we move to AdWords and look at, okay, in AdWords, how well do branded searches convert versus generic searches convert. There we do have the keyword data because it's AdWords and Google wants to spend money on AdWords. So we do know if we bid on the keyword Shoe24, we do know how well that converts versus if we bid on the keyword buy cool shoes online. And thus you need this sort of conversion rate factor. And so we developed a formula, which is also in this blog post. Through that we can adjust and say, okay, the brand clicks converted at this level and the non-brand clicks converted at this level. And actually in our use case that I will show you in a second, you can also see that makes a huge difference. So we realized for ourselves, and this is more where Philip's team comes in, so or where our team comes in, building, I'm also part of it, building, we realized that this analysis, so what I would urge you to do is to first do like an ad hoc analysis and see if you actually find any actionable insights. But if you do find insights, which I think you will do, it makes a lot of sense to move to a more structured data pipeline. So this is what we built in the second step. We access the relevant data sources, and then we create those two data sets, brand ratios per landing page, and then the 0 clicks and conversions per landing page, and then we're able to combine them and then actually calculate what we're really interested in, and that's the brand and non-brand conversions for SEO clicks. I know that we had to fly through the approach, so make sure there's this blog post for brand versus non-brand. It's actually the same name like this talk, and it's on Medium, so there it's explained in a little bit more elaborate, but I want to show you guys how we use this. So this actually is the cool emoji rocket, but it turns into a weird insect when putting it on. So what we can actually see in this case, so this is real data, and what we can actually see here is we split SEO clicks into non-brand and brand, and we see quite an interesting trend. So brand SEO clicks stay sort of stable, while non-brand SEO clicks actually rise. You guys were able to do that before based on your search console data. So one thing that you're really interested in is, before, when I would ask your SEO manager how is SEO performing, all he could do is give me this. These are our SEO conversions, and this is how SEO is performing. So in this case, if a CMO looks at this data, he might think, well, why am I investing in SEO? Because nothing is really happening. So now, through this approach, we're able to actually say, nothing. Okay, I guess internet is gone again. Now, through this approach, we're actually able to say, okay, how much of that are conversions related to just brand searches versus conversions related to actual SEO non-brand and conversions. So it doesn't paint a much prettier picture, because you can actually see, okay, brands converting a lot better. So most of your SEO conversions are actually coming from brand traffic, which has not too much to do with the work of your SEO team. But you can also see a bit of a trend. So while it used to be around 10% of your SEO conversions coming from non-brand, it goes towards 20% maybe. But this was, I mean, in the beginning a little bit shocking maybe for the SEO manager, because he always thought that his work has a lot bigger impact. But at least for the first time he was able to see, okay, it does have an impact, because it's actually increasing, and actually the things that he is doing do make sense, and he should continue down that path. So we really tried to overcome these issues, like the performance evaluation. We were finally able to sort of put a number on it. We could now actually also see if the algorithm would change, how would that affect our non-brand SEO conversions, because that's the one metric we were really interested in. And you could also see that in this case, the venture has quite a stable brand performance, which has nothing to do with SEO, and our CMO felt a little bit more comfortable allocating his budget. Which was also very nice to him. So one thing we will look at in the future is we want to also include that already into our attribution model. So right now it's a separate data pipeline, but ideally we would also like to include it in our attribution models, because for our model that we're using there, when we do dynamic attribution, it's actually very valuable information if this is a non-brand SEO click or a brand SEO click. So we want to do that in the future. I mean, what I just want you guys to think about is that online marketing, as always, is changing, but also now, really, channels like display have, I think, a hard time ahead, and SEO is making it complex again, also due to being more AI powered, like we learned in the talk before. So jump on board, but also make sure to measure your success correctly. And that's it already. Thank you.